So yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to put a name to the face, or a face in a name for want of a better expression, you want to tune into Joy FM's Facebook now, where you can see the lovely, one and only Michelle Atto. Yes, sitting next to Michelle is sporting a lovely polo shirt and a Bad Like Joe hat. Yes. The man himself, the man of the hour, Chris Atto.
Or the taller version of Kevin Hart.
Yes, I've heard that.
Exactly. And, you know, this man is, I think maybe for want of a better expression, a genius. He has this very calm demeanor that is very attractive, I must say, even coming from a man.
No comments. No comments.
The producer, director, producer,
director.
Ramesh is here as well. A lot of people have been seeing your pictures and are not sure who you are. They're like, people have been asking me, who's that guy? Is he behind it? I said, yes, he is. It's like, what is he like? I'm like, we'll soon find out, won't we? So, well, listen, thank you so much for coming on to the show. I really appreciate this gesture. I actually kept my premiere ticket.
Nice.
I'm going to keep this until the day I die. Maybe exaggerating a little bit, I must say.
No.
It will bring you good luck.
Tomorrow.
It will bring me good luck.
There you go.
I do hope so. So, I'm not sure where to start. So we're going to freestyle this a little bit, okay? So, Bad Like Joe caught my radar at some point when I was following another movie, and I just thought, interesting. So I started looking into the background of it, and I thought, some good people here. How come I've been left out of the mix? Nonetheless, I investigated, I got more excited, and I sent someone a message saying, hey, what's going on? I want to watch this movie. I'm interested. I'm excited. I want to be part of it. So,
Kofi,
hey,
wait, hold on. What were you doing when you first saw the trailer? I'm curious.
I was scrolling through Facebook.
Okay.
And I think I was on the Bad Like Joe website.
Okay.
And I saw a video by Michelle, I think. And then she was talking, she was doing the French thing.
Much.
And I was thinking, what's going on here? So I kind of thought, I kind of know Nicole, so I'm going to push Nicole and see whether I could get to speak to you guys.
Is she on the spot?
Nicole, I know Nicole. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Anyone who's wondering who I'm talking about, I'm talking of Nicole.
This is Jai.
Nicole, you know, there's only one Nicole, and African City, etc., etc., etc. Let's get on with the interview, shall we?
Yes, let's begin.
So the reason why we're here is because someone, somewhere, thought of a brilliant idea, then decided to put together a team and put together a stellar cast, by the way, and deliver something that actually led to an applause at the end of the movie.
And a standing ovation by many, by the way, I must say, because many people clapped and stood up. And that's something that, you know, I think we should pay homage to Ramesh for, because quite frankly, he did a magnificent job. From the script writing to the directing to the pre-production preparations towards the production, to taking us through the character Bible or take the treatment. I mean, he went through the entire process of making us involved in the entire story, you know, telling of this story. So, Ramesh, off my hat to you.
Thank you.
Yes.
The calm resilience, I use those words very, you know, selectively. The calm resilience of a mind that is able to propel a thought into a movie and the process involved. You know, Ramesh, I've got to ask you, let me tell you the experience I had. I walked into the studio, didn't know what to expect, sat there, watched the movie. I was on one character, then I was on another character, then I was on another character, then I was on another character, and I'm like, whoa. And the characters were consistent all the way around. They seemed to be the same person all the time. There were no surprises or something that would take me off guard. So that side of it I liked. But I'll tell you what was exciting. How we were able to piece all those stories together in a quick-paced movie. It was almost like switching scenes very quickly. Ramesh, what do you do for a living?
He thinks. Something many of us don't do.
well, you know, listen, I want to know what is going on in your head. I remember when I walked into the premiere, I saw you and I was like, I've got to take a picture with you. So tell me, let's start from the conceptualization of this concept.
Okay, so I'd done a short movie called Life, in which a person coming from the village, he's got a lot of responsibilities, and you know, a lot of people expect a lot from him, but you know, he can't take it too much. So he even thinks of committing suicide. So I thought, okay, you know, he's going through a lot of stages of bad luck. You know, so I said, okay, maybe it's time to expand on that story and create more characters that I see everywhere, you know, everyday people. And how it'd be beautiful if strangers who didn't know each other, in the beginning, they sort of came across something, and then they all became part of that, connected.
There you go.
You know, they interconnected, and they didn't even know they were connected in one way or the other. You know, so that'd be interesting. I just wanted to make a very entertaining movie, so that whoever sits from the beginning to the end, they're entertained, and they could take something away. You know, it's not just a comedy for being a comedy's sake. There are a lot of messages in there, a lot of symbolism. I won't explain any of that. If people get it, they get it. If they don't get it and they have a good time, well, that's fair enough too. I was just telling Nicole, you know, once you make a movie, it's no more yours. You know, it's for people to decide what they want to make out of it. So, yeah, that was amazing. Yeah.
It was, and you know what I made out of it was I saw a ripple effect of what life looks like, just based on something, one commonality, and how it's affecting a whole different amount of people in the mix, just because of maybe one decision or one thought, one action. So it's not just well done. It's how do you maintain the consistency of telling a story by actually flicking through so many scenes so quickly and still conveying that core essence of the message that you're trying to carry, which in essence really is a romantic dramedy. I don't know what you call it.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
You know, you can write a story, but if the actors don't understand that story and they don't keep in character throughout, it'll be very difficult to convey that story. So I think it was either a stroke of good luck, or you know, I knew from the very beginning I wanted Chris Atto and Michelle Atto, and whoever I took next, I think one of the best things we did was a reading, which a lot of people do, but they grasped it, and I always told them, no matter what happens on set, just remember this is your character.
Yeah.
This is your character.
Yeah.
There was a piece of the movie when it started, I saw a radio scene, and I thought I familiarized myself with it, thinking, hey, that's the kind of place I sit. And the story kind of, you almost needed to hear different perspectives. So you wanted to hear what the news was reporting all the time.
Yeah.
Now that was interesting, creating a storyline that had perspectives as well as what the media was feeding out. That DJ part, that you know, I think that was a critical role. Did you? What do you think about that particular role, Michelle?
Well, I think that relayed relativity to what really happens, you know, in everyday life. You have, you know, breaking news that comes up, and the first point of, you know, reference would be a radio station, clearly. Television being next. So it created reality, or it defined a sense of reality in the entire storytelling. And the thing is, most of what the DJ, or rather the radio presenter, was talking about were highlights of what was about to happen. So it basically unveiled the next scene, or the next sort of trip or sort of journey you would go to.
What happens next?
So what happens next, exactly. So I think that was a very good
Yeah, I think even in real life, you know, we hear some news, we analyze it in a particular way until it doesn't come on the news and is analyzed by other, you know, journalists. I mean, everybody's opinion is so different, but the journalists kind of focus that opinion in a certain direction. So I think he acted as a link. Yeah. You know, through different scenes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like a director telling a story, but he used a DJ,
and it's a pretty cool way to sort of introduce people to what to expect.
What to expect.
The man of the hour.
And sorry, you know what the radio station was, right? Well, FM
what was it called again?
Shout FM 41.9.
41.9.
419.
Hey!
You see so many crazy things.
You see,
so many subtle,
you see how,
subtle references.
and I tried to pay attention. I missed that.
I missed that.
It was a Radio 419.
Yes.
And you know what? You know what? There was a piece of that. At the end of the movie, you kind of felt like a bit of 419.
Exactly.
You felt the people took us on a long ride, and we felt a little bit cheated at the end.
Right?
We want a part 2.
Yeah, everybody's.
Maybe I'm asking a little bit too premature.
I've heard someone ask for
But
different
you know,
endings.
let me ask Chris, since he played that role. You know what you did without divulging. Would you do that in real life? If somebody you love, your wife, let's say, she said, "If you do this, I'm going to leave you."
So if
What
I
would
answer
you do?
wrong, I'm in trouble. I think that most importantly, Joe's character shows you that he has come through transition by the end, and he does it. By that means, and it's an expensive means, because everyone in the crowd literally goes, "Oh!" Without giving it away, so that if you haven't gone to see the film, I don't want to say too much, but I would say that yes, I'm very open to change. I'm not sure how I might react, but I'm open to change. You never know. I think we actually shot 3 different endings. Can I talk about that?
Yeah.
3 different endings for that. And
I think you picked the right ending.
There you go. There you go.
I feel you picked the right ending. Everybody's going through some kind of journey or story in life, and at some point you have to let go of things to receive others. You have to shed your wings to fly again. And for me, I looked at the money and I thought, my goodness, what significance this can have. But I related to so many other people's journeys, and I thought, you know what? Learn to walk away from one thing, and the door will open elsewhere, right?
And so usually the door opens with more blessings.
The door opens with more. So, Chris, I've got an interesting question for you.
Yes.
Talking about closing doors and opening windows, you are, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the leading Ghanaian actors carrying our flag to different borders around the world.
Appreciate it.
Oh, yes. Fact. Right? Does it feel like there's too much pressure on you?
Not at all.
Well, with performances like that, you don't need to worry.
Well, there you go. Well, you know what? It gives me the opportunity to also say, you see, it adds a little to what Michelle and Ramesh were saying earlier on. I, as an actor, I have a huge respect for directors, because I've tried some directing myself. I'm still trying to master it. And you described Ramesh's demeanor as that cool, methodical
calm
personality.
Yeah.
Anything that anyone gets to see me do, I am perfect because of the director. There are projects I've done where I would completely give myself off the character, but it may not come off as you want or as you expected, and that's the director's responsibility to be able to bring that out, and he was totally there, I believe, for all the actors at all times. And you see, and the beautiful thing is, Ramesh doesn't have to scream or shout on set.
No, on this movie.
Not on this movie.
Not on this movie.
There you go. But that same demeanor, that it gave you, the actor, the comfort to just be, to be in the element, to be in the zone so much that, it wasn't about getting anything wrong, or it was just about being there and giving it that 100%. And if he was happy, somehow I knew that, it would speak to audiences.
Yeah.
Well, listen. Just a little secret. Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we hardly took more than 2 takes.
Yeah.
That's so
You know?
true.
It's true.
Everything just went naturally and so slowly. We hardly did. Yeah.
That is an interesting point you make there, because I remember saying to Michelle earlier about how you fit into the role you played. I want us to talk about roles, because that's a big aspect of the movie that drives it. Michelle's role is diva, for want of a better expression. Second, not the first, but demanding it all, as always. Now, I think Michelle played her role amazingly well.
Thank you.
The piece that just broke me up is when she broke up into Gar.
At this point, me both.
At this point, I'm thinking that we're dealing with some sophisticated, traveled around, French accent, got it together, and all of a sudden she goes into this Gar.
You see, the thing is,
and I didn't know you spoke Ga.
Well, it took me a very long time to be confident in speaking Ga as I spoke it on camera. But the thing is, Ramesh allowed me to play different parts of that particular role. He said to me, this movie has so many, intense moments of drama. I need you to kind of break the moment and make it so totally different and radically different from what the viewers are experiencing, from Chris's point of view, from Adoma's point of view. So, play it as though you were someone that people will just be completely thrown away by. I am not a diva. I am not a diva.
I was going to ask how much.
Let me explain.
How much of that is really
I have
you?
the French influence.
Okay.
The French are extremely classy and extremely, well put together. So I think that's what comes across as being diva-ish, but I'm not.
Okay.
I take my time in speaking. I take my time in articulating my thoughts and everything. So that's probably what people perceive me as, being very sort of snobbish and sort of uppity and whatnot. I'm not that. So I was able to play something that I'm really not, to be honest.
Yeah. Listen, I do like the idea that Nicole jumped in there asking you to speak some Ga. I think it's so sexy when you speak Ga.
Hey,
Mini. That's all I know. Mini.
I have to give it to Michelle.
With a surname like Amatefi, I'll be disappointed if she can't speak Ga.
One of the things that I was saying to Michelle just before we also walked in here was, I was giving it to her for the consistency that character had. And consistency is literally the Bible. To be able to, because we also go home and you do whatever and you come to work the next day and sometimes you forget, you forget who and what and where, and again, so I'll give it again to the director. But the consistency that Michelle had for that character, absolutely outstanding. Outstanding.
So, Chris, let's talk about your character.
Oh,
because Michelle, I sent her a message straight away and said, hey,
bam,
great performance. Because I just loved it all.
I just want to say something. The opening scene, which became so.
I like what Mr. Patapa said.
Yes,
Mr. Patapa's words are becoming very trendy.
So, that scene was not in the script.
Yeah.
It was Michelle who said, there should be something in the beginning.
And I agree.
Yes.
I agree. Because that grasped everybody.
Yeah.
But listen, as a typical brought up Ghanaian, spent some time in the UK, I started thinking, hey, are there any kids around here? I wasn't sure, so I kind of did a quick. But there are a lot of adult concepts and adult ideas and issues being discussed that are prevalent in our society at the moment. Chris, I want to go to your character now, and I want to talk about how you are able to draw people in with your sorrow. Has anybody told you play sorrow very well?
I'd like to think I play it all
when you say you're suffering, it looks good to us. We're like, hey, the guy is suffering. Right?
God day. They say that an actor draws from some aspect of his experience or his reality.
Okay. Well, if you haven't been there, you can't tell. You can't fake it. Right?
That's true. Yeah. But you see, one of the very blessed things is, at least in today's world, you don't have to experience totally everything. As an actor who can't possibly also be everywhere or do everything, reading helps a lot. Just reading anything and any material gives you something to reach out for. Even if it's an experience that you may have never had. So I always say that, and I always encourage young actors to read and read a lot. Read widely.
It's key.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, no, it's Joe's character is simply put, he would be, and I think I've said this before, he would be the representation of adversity gives you the opportunity to breed success. And I like to say that when we fail forward because you learn something after every fall. And this character, you see this character fall and fall and fall many times, and for him, he's driven by the love, which indeed is one of the strongest things that drives all of us, but the fact that you are prepared to fall and get up and dust yourself up, and keep going. That is the amazing thing. And I also said it's also something that drew me to the script, because I'm very interested in people walking into the cinema and not just being entertained, but, being also able to walk away with one or two lessons and one or two, as the actors, we're always saying, we're turning the mirror and we're saying, look at something, can you relate, So it felt good, and it felt even better to actually be in the cinema and hear audiences relate to those parts.
Some people were in stitches at some point where you couldn't just stop them.
Yeah. Someone else I remember just behind me mentioned the fact that you connected everyone's story. It was like, it's like a Tyler Perry thing. Not to compare, but even as a filmmaker, it's not easy. Like you said, just joining all those stories together and having it make sense. I'm sure Ramesh has seen the movie thousands of times, and he would probably still want to do things. Like, if you keep working on this movie, it's going to be a different movie next year, But I would take the opportunity to also encourage other people. There are now different ways to tell our stories. I think Bada Joe still hovers around a lot of drama, but these aspects were approached differently. There are lots of very different perspectives, and I think it's at that time it's exciting. Someone said to me, I'm excited again about Ghanaian film. I want to go to the cinema again.
Stereotype has been broken.
There you go. And we're there. I'm encouraging people to definitely go see it. If you haven't, I'm encouraging people to tell our stories more. I'm encouraging Sleeping Gods. And I've referred to him many times like that. Sleeping Gods, like Ramesh. Yes, I can't wait to do the next project. Yes, something action. But let's be flying on some walls, Michelle. Yes,
it's about time we have some good action. Huh?
Some good action.
I saw some Spider-Man movie the other day. I don't talk about it.
The love of movies is one thing, but the business side of it is so different that it makes you think twice. I was speaking to another director, and he was saying, every time he's writing a script, he's thinking, how much is this going to cost? It's exactly with me. And, sometimes we just kill ideas because, a funeral with 200 people, I can't do that.
Extras and the costs involved, logistics and
so much. So we keep changing ideas. And,
I've got to ask you about this in terms of cost. The demographics in media in Ghana, it's dispersed, isolated, competitive sometimes. There are people in little pockets doing their own thing. It doesn't feel like there is a cohesion, there's teamwork necessarily. It makes disjointed people asking for support or help, funds sometimes, makes it a little bit harder. Now, you've gone through the whole journey, you know the business aspect of it, behind the scenes. Would you be willing to teach people how to get from A to B? As in, you have a concept, where am I taking it? Surely it's not that simple. People think you just need a camera and some good actors. It's not that simple, right? So what are some of the challenges that people need to consider, especially the young and aspiring producers and directors?
I think the first challenge is the script itself. You have to ask yourself for who I'm writing the script for. If you want to make your money back, any producer will tell you that keep the budget within a certain amount.
Okay.
And that budget is so low that you'd be wondering, can I make a movie on that budget? If I was going to advise myself after having made this movie, I would be like, now I've seen the returns, which are not really nothing to speak about. I'm like, okay, so we made this movie, people had fun. It's just 1 week down the line. We really had to struggle or really work hard to take it to different parts of Ghana.
Okay.
But even after that, the money that you'll get, it's not much. So it's more like you do it because you just want to make a good movie.
There's stories to tell,
exactly. There's stories to tell.
Ramesh, I want one word answers from you, if this is possible.
Oh, well, okay.
Who made you laugh behind the scenes?
Michelle. We were laughing a lot behind the scenes.
Okay, like literally your mind. The people who laugh together in their minds, only they know what they're laughing at, right?
Yeah, they do. And so I'll tell you a funny incident. So she was. There's a scene where she's outside, and an interviewer, is interviewing her, and in real life there was a lot of wind blowing, and I think her skirt went up a bit. So
Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, something like that. So she's like, then I said, cut. Then she said, I don't remember whether my right leg was over that. And all the guys like, no, the right leg was over that.
They remember.
They were paying attention. At that point, you want to say, cameraman, focus on the camera.
Continuity, please.
Yeah, I mean, there were some really funny moments, you know, because of her accent and all. But in the beginning, she wasn't supposed to speak French. She was supposed to speak
with a British accent.
Oh, okay, that would have been fine as well. She would have handled that easily.
Yeah, but we thought that, you know, I think it's been done.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are thinking of
Mix
what
it up
other
a little
accent.
bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
And
yeah.
For the contrast.
For the
to
contrast.
shock people a little bit, to break the perception that I'm very hoity-toity and very sort of, you know.
And she's not really like that.
Because I'm really not like that. To be
and
honest.
the person who made us cry on set was actually Chris.
Yeah.
Yes. So that is what I want to touch on now. I want to see. I'm like, while all the stories are going on with all of you, Chris has to somehow make some kind of connection to his deep, darkest side to portray it so we can appreciate it. It's not an easy task. Now, Michelle, did you see him at some point trying to connect and disconnect? Does he need a slap or a kick sometimes?
No, I mean Chris. And
Chris just jumps into
not
character.
just because he's here, but Chris is someone who takes his art very seriously. This is his life. Chris has always been an actor from as far as I can remember. Wow. So, you know, enacting, portraying roles that he's done in the past and to speak about this particular project was something that he delved into naturally. In the beginning, when you see him in a distraught, disheveled, out of sorts, really like down and out, Chris literally put himself in that situation. And we've all been in, down and out, dire straight moments. So, but not to say that he has been. He literally becomes the character.
You gotta go there.
You really do. And
I agree with that.
Watching him portray, sort of transition and transform from the down and out, times to wanting to be proud and stand upright as a man who was fighting for his love and trying to preserve and sacrifice for the love of his life against the priest that's sort of what's the name I want to use for that man?
Prophet
Dazi, who's a crook.
Prophet one.
I mean, long and short of it, that the changes of emotions that he took us through is something that he just does naturally. So I was really impressed. I mean, I look even though I am older than him.
And I think
I look up to him, quite frankly, and I was extremely proud because I saw true reflection of acting through him. I really did.
And to pay homage
really
to
did.
Chris, Chris usually plays the playboy and all,
exactly.
but people forgot totally. They believed that from the very beginning that was Joe was Chris. I mean, Chris played the role so well. They forgot.
And whoever styled you was doing a great job with the shirt and the
Yeah.
trousers. Somehow it all added to
All
the
the
character.
That was my wardrobe.
That was all the
That was
Apex
so-
team, yeah.
There's a scene, Chris, where you are deliberating. You almost freeze frame the whole movie, where you stand away from the hearse and you just had a long conversation with what's that character's name?
Zuri.
And you
Sika
have to
Osei was amazing.
She was.
Oh my
She was.
goodness. You have to
And she
acknowledge them
she-
also.
I was
Yeah.
calm till she came on. I was like, what's going on?
Hyper.
Yeah,
She was like,
But that
You
was,
have to do this.
But,
You have to do this.
Kofi,
You have to do this.
that's what you need to understand. Each and every one of us, our role
Brought
in
their
the
A game.
table reading that Ramesh allowed us to do, we were meant to break transitions from one emotional ride or tempo to the next. His was drama, hers was intensity and anxiety, mine was flamboyance and mixed identity and confusion. I don't really know who I am, kind of thing. An identity crisis.
Yeah.
Adoma was obviously sort of very serene and docile and vulnerable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
each and every one of us at the table reading were asked to portray these particular roles. So the transitions that you went through was intentional. Was all intentional. So yeah, coming back to what you were saying about Chris.
and
Top of my
also
hat to you, baby.
Elizabeth's character.
Elizabeth.
And the husband.
Elizabeth.
She did a great job.
Yeah.
I think we just.
It wasn't like
Everybody-
it was like she wasn't acting.
Yeah. I think the casting was the best thing ever. I mean, after the script was written, if I didn't get the casting right, I don't think it would have been what it was.
You captured a scene that I was excited about, and it was actually a friend of mine played the lady, and there were two, Caucasian that walked onto this car with a dead body. And for whatever reason, they thought it was a great time to have a selfie, right?
Yeah.
So I'm watching this thing thinking, how much of this stuff is real? Actually, it is so
real.
real.
So real.
It is, yeah.
So I want us to discuss the intensity of what you guys have put in the movie and the implications it has on society, because there are some subtle stories being told here.
Yes, very true.
Michelle's character actually does
exist. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Your character, Chris,
Yes.
actually does exist, and so does everyone else.
Yeah.
I can actually see those people in our communities.
I see them every day.
Yes. So, almost unintentionally,
Yeah.
we are telling people that this story affects so many people
Everybody.
within the society.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a lesson there somehow to say, be mindful of your actions, be mindful of your steps you take, because it has a ripple effect throughout, and the implications on that, on different people from different walks of life?
Yeah, I guess you
Absolutely.
can't really you can't tell people what to do. You can just show them instances and hope that they
will
recognize
embrace us,
themselves,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
maybe I should change. There's this scene at the cemetery where Zuri's character is telling Chris, "You're asking me for money," and
Yeah.
and she goes on, and the shot is like, there's this cemetery, people are dead, and here are these two living beings
Arguing
talking about
about
money.
Money. Yeah.
I mean, you're going to end up in the
There.
Same
cemetery.
place, yeah.
But there they are standing in front of the, so, I mean, those who can take that out, I mean, there's a lot of symbolism.
Yeah, there's some
but
very
yeah.
subtle subliminal messages in the movie that Ramesh was able to portray. If you really take time, you have to watch the movie more than once. Even having watched the movie thrice, I've actually noticed the things that you inserted outside of the pre-screen that we saw before y'all saw it, on big screen. So yeah, there are a lot of references, morals, takeaways that one has to really think and take out. It's not just about laughter. There's a lot of social issues that are being,
Addressed as well,
and
yes.
also
Yeah.
portrayed in the movie, but lightheartedly,
Lightheartedly.
portrayed. Yeah,
And I think the kids also did.
they did
so well.
amazing. And the
there's
Three
some-
Stooges. What are they called?
Three Stooges, we'll
call them that.
Yeah, let's call them Three
The accomplices, the three
They're
accomplices.
Well, if you only just tuned in to Joy 99.7 FM, I have the cast of Bad Like Joe with me, as well as the director, Ramesh. And we're talking about the movie, and I'll tell you what, we've got none other but our own, business mind, mogul, call her what you may, she's an actress as well. Michelle Atto is sitting here with us today. And we have, yes, the man of the hour, the man who carries Ghana's flag to boundaries and borders that we only dream
Amen.
Yeah.
of. Chris Atto is here with us as
Thank you,
well.
Kofi.
And we have Ramesh, the calm, the calm genius who is able to string it all together. And we're talking about the movie, which I saw and I loved. And if you haven't seen it, guys, you certainly must make a
Definitely
conscious
go see
effort
it.
to go see this movie. It's a tale of love and tragedy mixed, and in the mix of it, there's a melee of characters that just tell you amazing stories. But most importantly, you're gonna have a good laugh. Okay, like literally at every turn, somebody says something or does something that makes you think
You're
that is
already
actually
laughing,
true. That
right?
actually really happens. Some people were in stitches and couldn't control themselves. I kind of had to shout to people saying, "Hey, keep it down. We're watching a movie here." So listen, guys, before we actually round up, I want to talk about the technical side of things a little bit. The movie, the funeral, the actual cemetery scene. Something about that cemetery scene and the shots blew me away. So there was this shot where I think either Chris was walking and the camera was panning and it was showing the trees above him. And it was moving very slowly. I thought, wow, it was smooth. Basically, I think the whole cemetery, the cemetery shots, if I'm allowed to say, there's something about there. I drifted from the storyline and went into, and I thought, wow, this is so cool. I'm sure it was
Technically.
consistent throughout, but something about that cemetery was powerful. Do you think it was deliberate?
Yeah. That's almost like a climax before the climax.
Okay.
I mean, that's where the whole deal falls through for Chris and Zuri, you know. And God being so good, the weather was so beautiful that day. You know, we first of all, for those who are technically inclined, you know, we hardly used lights. It was all natural lights, so that we could move fast. You know, it's only interiors that we used lights, but otherwise we just moved. So that whole thing, I think what added to it was that we knew the music that was going to be played during that scene. So I had that music in mind, and I planned my shots according to. Yes, exactly. Okay. So I would move slow or move fast or cut faster, you know. But all that worked because Zuri and Chris, people had been following them from the beginning, and over there, you know, they kind of clashed, but they were still Zuri, and they were still Joe. You know. So I think that dynamism between the two, the chemistry between the two. And then the weather, and you know, everything. There was green trees, and
it was amazing. It was amazing. The sun was seeping through it.
Yes, you know,
phenomenal.
Very crisp.
It just worked.
Chris, there are a lot of characters in this movie, and I saw them all at the premiere. Well, I didn't know they were all playing parts till I went into the movie, and I thought, I remember seeing that guy, because I did a short live stream and a few. I like social media, so I was messing around with social media, and I thought, that's person. You know, interesting bringing such a collective team together. What did you think about the whole team together, working with that team?
You know, one of the things that I have to also say, and you touched on technically, there's nothing like putting your craft or your life in the hands of a director who knows what he's doing. You know, when you mention Apex, even in the first place, you think about all the commercials Ramesh has shot, you know, ever in his life. And not to trail off, I keep saying Ramesh literally gave me my first chance on TV. Literally, these two people, hold on. These two people gave my first shot on TV.
Wow.
Because it was a McVitie's advert, digestive, you know, I don't know if we can say that here, but literally, and I remember that it had the magic carpet, you know, and you know, in those times we had nothing but the raw stuff, and Ramesh was still achieving all this, literally,
that far.
So technically, you know, I do say again, you know, it feels so good as an actor to put your hands in, or rather your craft in the hands of someone who understands how to visually tell stories. Me personally, I would give thanks to maybe just the growth. If there's anything I've learned from working outside of home, the truth is there are levels to this you know, and if there's anyone else listening and wants to do this, the truth is, you know, you literally have to be excellent. You know, if you are going to be on this platform, you literally have to be excellent. It can't be a moment where you're letting your guard down. Technically, you know, just being someone who has maybe learned under Meisner, or you know, I've used the Meisner technique in my work. I've used Stanislavski, you know, and that's what maybe we're all talking about early on, which is to be able to completely go there. You know, and so I'd say to young actors, you know, remind young actors that you need to prepare. You need to do the work. You know, it's not just going to fall in your lap.
Nope.
And then again, finally, to answer your question, that's the grace that was on the set. The kind of chemistry between everyone, because everyone in their own little way was bringing their A game.
Yes, they did.
And it's like being on a stage with everyone, you know, it's like they're throwing the ball and you're catching it.
And Michelle, you know, this just highlights hard work. And that nothing great is achieved by taking shortcuts, right?
Absolutely.
People out there need to know that Chris Attor, Michelle Attor, they're not where they are based on just fluidity of the universe or whatever you want to call it. It's literally sweat and toil.
Oh, a lot of it, and loss. You know, when somebody asks me, you had your business for 20 years, that's a really long time. I said, well, the first 10 years was my playground. Because I had to make all my mistakes. I had to fall down, make my, have bumps, make losses, and then learn the lessons and apply those lessons from here on. So it hasn't been an easy ride. You know, you have to fail to conquer. You've got to fall to rise. I mean, these are things that happen all the time. And somebody says, you've waited 20 years to come back on the screen. I said, well, first and foremost, a delay is not a denial. And sometimes a delay is a preparation for greater things. Grace above all things supersedes everything.
Wow.
You have to believe in God for number one. You have to work hard and you have to stay focused.
Grace.
And again, to add to what Chris was saying, be in character. Like, you know, when you are acting, and I find that most, you know, young, upcoming, you know, actors and actresses don't take themselves out of themselves. You know, they're too conscious about the outer appearance, the look. In cases where when Chris was playing the first few scenes of, you know, when he was running as a thief and whatnot, he really went into character. But when you see him, obviously, in real life, that's not what he looks like.
Yeah.
And that's what real acting is about. You've got to really shed all the layers of pride, shed all the layers of consciousness, and become someone other than who you really are. You know, again, with the directing skills of Ramesh would come to me, like, I'll do 1 or 2 shots, and he would say, well, he would speak to me in my ear and say to me,
I love that, yeah. It's like the voice of God.
A voice of God. He would talk to you, you know, in a very calm demeanor, you know, with his hand on his head, and he would go around, and he's very focused, and say, well, maybe you should do it like this. And then I go completely different.
Oh, wow.
But it's the approach, the preparation, the ability to be less conscious of yourself and shedding the pride element. Because if you're projecting the character, you're projecting that character, not yourself.
That's right. So you have to have confidence to exude that character out of you without feeling any inhibitions.
And being intimidated by that, because you will be judged by that, but that's what's going to make you shine.
That's what's going to make you shine.
Yeah.
Ramesh, do I need to ask you why people need to go and watch this movie?
I think it's so different. I think, you know, for technical people, like film students and all that, I just want to say that you don't believe in yourself, write anything you want to. There are people out there who will see it and they will appreciate it. So be yourself, be unique, and, you know, learn a lesson that even if you write separate stories and link them together, it's very much like Pulp Fiction. You know, you have different storylines, and then, you know, they kind of merge. Please go ahead and do it. You know, just believe in yourself, do it. And for people who are just looking for entertainment, you will get a lot of entertainment. For people who are looking at life lessons, they will get it. And everybody kind of recognizes themselves. There's one character in there, they say, oh, you know, that could be me. Or, you know, they recognize somebody else in it. You know, so go for the entertainment, go for the lessons. And just have fun.
Just have fun.
Ramesh,
you've actually put something magical together, and we are all getting excited about it. Bad Luck Joe.
Yes.
Have you forgotten that's your name?
I'm still here.
Or did you not know you've always been the Bad Luck Joe? But listen, let's say that only in jest. It's only a character that Chris Hatto plays. Chris, what's next? What's happening next for you from here?
I'm very excited. I'm working on a few projects outside. Some I can and can't talk about, but I'm also looking forward to shooting something soon again with Ramesh. Michelle and I constantly talk about new productions, you know, every single day.
And this is our very first, you know, movie that we've done together.
Literally our first.
Yes,
literally your first.
They were never together on screen, though.
No.
We were never together on set.
Except for that. No, not even then. Was that? Oh, yeah, but the table reading. The table reading. Yes. In fact,
none of
we've
the
never been on
characters really met.
That's the beauty of the way the director, you know, was able to isolate every single character's story.
None of the characters really.
We never met.
No.
None of us met on set.
Different shoot days.
None of us. Also, I must say, none of us saw any previews of anything that they had all done.
Oh, yeah. So in the cinema, it was very refreshing. You
Exactly.
looking at it for the first time.
None of us.
So it makes you equally engaged and excited about what Michelle is going to do and what Abdullah is going to do.
But you see, the script engaged us from the get-go. So we could visualize what to anticipate from every character that we were meeting on the first day. But the finished product, we only saw it at the preview. That we never met. Never
met.
Interesting.
Elizabeth never met your character.
No, she didn't.
No. Nobody really met
It's the way they talk on the phone. You almost
never
feel
met Francesca.
I never met Elizabeth. Elizabeth, don't even know who she is.
Oh my
Do a little bit of that for us. Those people are falling in love with that character. Do a little bit of it.
Madame Francesca is extremely tired right now. It is past her bedtime. It is her beauty hour at night, which is to sleep. So I would suggest that you wrap it up because you're wasting my time. No, fais-moi, sonnez-moi,
My favorite is, you really shouldn't think. It's really not good for you.
It's not good for you. Yes.
Don't think too much.
It's really not good.
And that wasn't even part of the script.
Well, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you guys here together. And I wish this movie all the best of luck. I can only see it a part 2. Maybe the characters get to meet. I also see potential of even building on this. I could see this going up to 10 episodes. The characters are strong characters. People want to see the consistency from where they are now and where they go. I'm just throwing that out there. What I see.
Just before closing, one of the characters passed away in real life.
Oh yes.
So rest in peace. The doctor
who played Zuri's
father. He passed away. He was actually my mate at NAFTI.
Oh,
yeah. He passed away about 2
Albert
weeks back.
An amazing actor. Amazing actor. You see how it goes there.
On a lighter note,
we had a bit of a moment.
I just wanted to remember.
On a lighter note, we'd like to also say that the movie is still showing. It's been showing since the 5th of October. So it's playing every single day at Silver Birds Cinemas, both at West Hills and Accra Mall at 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock. So take a friend, take a family member, take a Z-lover if you want. Z-wife probably.
And Kumasi
as well.
2nd November.
2nd of November. So guys, go watch the movie and patronize Made in Ghana. We're all in for we're all sort of rooting out for Made in Ghana productions and talent and locations and cast and production crew. So it's a Made in Ghana product. Come watch it. Forget the rest.
Teamwork makes the dream work. I think you all deserve a big round of applause for yourself. Oh, wow. Well, listen, it's been an interesting hour on Joy 99.7 FM, and you've, for want of a better expression, been listening to it from the horse's own mouth. Wow, it's Bad Like Joe. It's the movie that has got everyone talking in Ghana at the moment. Yes, we premiered last week, and there is a whole lot of longevity, as you heard from Michelle. And so make sure you catch this movie. It's going to make you laugh. It's going to make you cry. It's going to arouse every possible emotion in you. And guess what? It tells stories, poignant stories, about things that people are actually experiencing in society. And maybe how we all need to be a little bit more accommodating of each other. It's been a pleasure having you guys on the show. Thank you so much. And I'm overwhelmed.
And keep up
in the midst of stardom.
The excellent work.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. Well done.
Let's not forget that 30 million, right?
Yes.
You don't get 30 million, eh? But when you finish, you rip up the ticket.
Can you imagine?
Good luck to you guys.
And
I hope this movie does extremely well.
Oh, thank you.
Money fall on you. Banana fall on you. Prada fall on you.